Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 179 of the AllYouCanHear podcast. I'll be your host today, Patrick. And joining me today are my two gargantuan co-hosts.
I am Stinky Paul of Dookie Colt.
I don't know if that's a good kaiju name.
It's Hedorah, pretty much.
I mean, yeah, but that's Hedorah. You know, I mean sludge. You just called
Yeah.
yourself Stinky Poo Poo Man. I don't know if that's something you want
Yeah,
to stick.
That's what I am, bro.
How about we call a cult Kuso Jira, because Kuso means poop or excrement, and we could put a little OG in there, make it like kind of like old man, so shitty old man monster.
Yes, I am big shitty old man monster.
That's okay. It's a personal choice. If that's his, that's his. I'm Wenzel.
Ooh, scary.
The most frightening monster
Yeah.
of all. Wenzel's base humanity.
I'm gonna have to run from him for sure. Godzilla's not gonna be able to fight him off.
Man, thank you. Man, you're just really feeding my ego. Thank you.
So see, Wenzel's transformation to a kaiju isn't like through radioactivity. His just ego just swells his body until it's just a giant floating head, and the military has to shoot down.
Yep.
He's Balloon Boy too. There's this kid up in there.
Well, if that's any hint of what we'll be talking about today, this is the second installment of the Kaiju Overview, and we have three more movies to talk about in the kaiju genre today. And the first movie we'll be talking about on the list is 1956 Rodan, or as it's known in Japan, Sora no Daikaiju Rodan, or literally Giant Monster of the Sky Rodan. It was directed by Ishiro Honda, special effects director by Eiji Tsuburaya, and score by Akira Ifukube. And this movie, this movie starts in a small mining village that is grit with strange and grisly murders that slowly evolve into monster mayhem. So, what did y'all think of Rodan?
I liked it. It's a very fun movie. I watched it in July, when we planned to do this episode a lot earlier, but from what I remember, I really enjoyed it, except for the ending part where explosions happened for 30 minutes. But I really loved Rodan's little baby form. I don't know what to call that, but it was pretty damn cool.
It was just his hatchling form, I guess. I mean, really though, like he didn't really change much when he got out of that damn egg.
Yeah.
He just got a little less
Pretty
baby.
much. Yeah, I liked it. You know, it's been a while since I've seen it, so this is probably the second time I've ever seen it, and yeah, it was it's about as good as an old kaiju movie can get. You got like this fucking screaming ass dinosaur flying through the sky. I remember that was like actually a terrifying thing, was how every time it would fly, it would destroy shit. I'm like, I remember as a kid, I was like, yeah. And then now, like, I'm glad they implemented that again in Godzilla King of the Monsters with Rodan, so that was pretty neat. Man, yeah, it was just it was just all around fun.
And just to get this is actually my second time watching. I think I saw it on AMC or TMC, one of those classic movie channels, like years
It probably
ago.
had to be TCM, Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah, TCM.
Because they'll do Godzilla marathons, you know, because they I think they have like a connection or something with Criterion, so they show old movies and stuff.
Can do like whenever I got the chance, like it feels like it was a rare treat that a channel would have like a Godzilla marathon. Like you see it on TMC every once in a while, or maybe the Sci-Fi Channel, because those rights are held up. But I remember being really impressed by Rodan as a kid, because Rodan was actually probably my favorite Godzilla kaiju for a while, because pteranodons were my favorite dinosaur as a kid.
Yeah, this is a good dinosaur.
And actually, Rodan his name is taken from like a not like a I guess a truncation of pteranodon, And the difference between the name, because it's Radon in Japan and Rodan in the States, there was a theory for a while that that name change was due to a mistranslation, but it's really due to Toho deliberately changing the name for international release to sort of avoid confusion with the
Radon?
element,
Yeah,
Radon.
yeah. I was about to say, like that would definitely be weird.
And well, I remember when I was a kid, like I knew Rodan was like a part of the Godzilla mythos, and I was like, confused why he wasn't a part of this movie. That since this was made 2 years after Godzilla, it's originally an unrelated like movie or character to the Godzilla mythos. It wasn't until they had their big sort of Avengers moment, so to speak, in Ghidorah that Rodan was officially integrated into the Godzilla series.
Yeah. And oh gosh, it's been months since we watched it, but Rodan in that movie just came out of nowhere, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the movie kind of starts off very differently, because you have like this mining village, and there's all this like this temperatures are high because it's getting hot and the summer is really beating down, but all these people start dying, and they think it's because of one disgruntled miner, and then plot twist, it's actually these giant prehistoric insects that come out of the ground called the Mega Nulon.
Yeah, they're the larvae form of an actual prehistoric dragonfly, which the name I don't know why the name was changed in the translation, but the name's different. It's son of a bitch. I should have prepared for this one because I didn't know I would talk about it, but yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna fill in the void of time. Mega Neuron. That's what their original name was, but they called them Mega Nulon. Yeah.
It's probably just the whole L to R.
For sure.
thing.
I just for me, like, just for corrections or technical sake, I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, because looking into like the history of sort of the kaiju production of it, like the Mega Nulon themselves, they went through a few different iterations and behind the scenes. Originally they were based off termites, then they went to mole crickets, and they finally landed on this dragonfly larva. They were sort of the final form as they appear in the movie, and that's sort of based off like this. It's this ancient insect genus called the Meganeura, which lives about 305 to 299 million years ago, and those insects would grow up to become dragonflies as we know them today. Of course, back then, this genus was had some of the largest flying insects that ever existed on Earth. Like, literally, they had a wingspan of 30 inches across. So just imagine a dragonfly that big.
No, I'm good. I like bugs the way they are now. Sometimes they're scary big, but I prefer them tiny. I'd be
very frustrated. That's like I'd be frustrated seeing these 30-inch long bitches flying around, stealing cats probably.
Yeah, I don't want them to bite me on the neck and I get dragged away. I imagine they're strong as hell. They got big wings.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They can't be that strong because they have that exoskeleton, but they don't have bones. So, I'm certain I could kick one's ass.
Yeah, I think for maybe a Twitch stream, we just lock Wenzel in a cage with a bunch of giant bugs and just let him see how many he can take down. We need to take bets. Wenzel, you have 1 minute to kill as many bugs as possible.
Oh God,
that
nightmare room.
That is see. That sounds like a crazy idea, but I'm pretty sure that would just look bad on our part because I feel like that would just be animal abuse.
Yeah, but also I feel like as soon as you entered, you'd be bit by something poisonous and you'd be dead real quick.
So I have to fight for my life. Okay, self-defense.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, because one of those bugs has the antidote, but you don't know which one.
Oh, son of a bitch.
And one of the bugs is me in a bug costume with a knife.
Well, speaking of bug costumes, the mega neurons themselves, it was composed of 3 actors wearing like a giant insect suit. They said it was like 15. The suit itself was like 15 feet long, and the head. I think the head actor in the suit. One of them was the legendary suit actor Haruo Nakajima, who played the insects in this film, Rodan himself. And he was also the original Godzilla suit actor as well.
Hell yeah, yeah. Man, that seeing that suit was like, threw me back, but also was funny because like now seeing it with the eyes of an adult, I'm just like, you can clearly see the insect legs are clearly some human legs and leggings, insect leggings, I should say. Man, I love it. I thought it was also really funny when it escapes and goes up the mountain, and then it's getting away, but then it starts to fall very violently.
And then it falls with like tiny little toy figures.
Yeah, the two guys. Oh, perfect.
I did think it was funny when first when the Mega Neuron first show up, like the main character, he's just like trying to talk to the sister of the man they think is the murderer, and they're just kind of like chilling in the house, and all of a sudden, bam! This giant bug just shows up in their back door.
And the thing is, too, you could totally hear it coming because it has like this. I don't know what to call that sound. There's a specific sound for it, like every monster, and like you could hear it like quietly in the background, and it's like. It just appeared in their house, and it was just like, "What's for dinner?"
Yeah, I think he just wanted food. He would have went away if he got some food.
Yep.
And then they chased the bug up the hill, and like you see all the cops and the miners like literally shooting at the bug, but he's not really moving on the side of the hill, and they miss every single shot.
Yeah, and also something else too. I completely forgot how bloody it was when it killed people. Like, there was a part in there where it grabs 2 guys, and the way it grabs them, it like holds them like they're hostages. It was crazy. I completely forgot about how bloody this movie is. I love it.
Yeah, and like you said, when he grabs those 2 guys, and then it just kind of falls down the hill, and it's tumbling with the men too. That's just a really funny bit.
Because it's like a perfect escape, but then also it's like. It seems really stupid, but it's good. And then fucking later, it goes in the cave, and they bring out machine guns, and for some reason, still can't fucking kill it.
Well, yeah, because that seems like a very counterintuitive plan. It's like we're gonna be in this tiny, fragile tunnel underground, and we start just unloading on this bitch with a machine gun.
30 caliber.
Sounds safe. Totally won't cause any cave-ins. We'll be good, guys.
Yeah, just go for it.
Because if we know anything about mine tunnels, is their structural integrity.
Oh yeah, that's why we have so many people working in them. To name me one mine incident that's ever happened. Name me one.
Minecraft
miners.
Colt gets a point.
Yeah, Pat. What you said. I don't remember it. I was in 6th grade.
I'll take your word for it. Well, speaking of caves in, they do eventually manage to stop one of the Mega Neuron by like ramming a bunch of mine carts into it. But then like kind of opens up another hole where even more of these bugs come out, and the main character kind of gets trapped in a cave in as like everything starts coming down around them. And then after that, they start noticing like this weird UFO sightings across the Pan-Asian area.
Yep.
And
I sorry. I watched it late last night, and then I watched 3 movies this morning, and my mind is leaving me now. Yeah.
Yeah, assuming Mothra.
I don't know. Every time I see stuff I know, like as soon as I saw Philippines, I was like, "Hey!" Like for some reason, I started yelling, "Hey!" And then when I saw Okinawa, but it was funny because when they showed Okinawa, they just showed an American just making a telegram or something, and I was like, "Hey!" So sorry, that was my moment.
It's like those two places I know in Southeast Asia.
I'm connected.
Showing the heritage. And we're getting more and more sightings of these like strange UFOs. They're disappearing all over like China, Japan, and the Philippines. And then the main character, Shigeru, he turns up in the middle of a volcano field, just like completely dazed and with no sense of time or memory what happened in the last few hours.
Nope, complete amnesia.
Is this in Rodan? Did Rodan accidentally kill people just by flying over them?
Yeah.
And just fucking threw them? Okay.
Yeah, that's literally what happened, yeah.
Yeah, because like you see at one point this like rich couple goes down into this like active, dangerous like volcano area and for like pictures, and then Rodan flies over and just like the sheer pressure of the downdraft, I guess, crushes them, and then apparently he eats them.
I thought, okay, that one actually got me. I thought that because he was flying so fast, he sucked the air out of their lungs or something. I mean, the pressure though, that makes sense because sorry, I'm trying to talk about the physics of a supersonic bird dinosaur.
Just remember how Arceus and Palkia and Dialga exert pressure on their opponent, making them scared. But Rodan's stronger than Arceus, the creator of the Pokemon universe, so he can just kill them just by flying over them.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's sound
as anything. And then thanks to seeing the little bird hatch from his friend's little like canary cage, he realized, and in the traumatic resurgence of his memory, that while he was trapped in the cave and he saw the Mega Nulon nest and he saw the giant Rodan egg hatch and eat up all the Mega Nulon larvae, which apparently were just crayfish in tiny little costumes.
Wait, is that what they used?
It looked like it,
Apparently,
actually. Yeah, I can see that.
Apparently, they used a puppet to like snap up the tiny, like the sort of to show the scale of the monster, and apparently the larvae that it eat are actually crayfish they put tiny costumes on.
That's
fun.
That one must have been an interesting job. Can you just imagine the director going to the prop department saying, "Hey, I need little crayfish costumes,
and I need them as soon as possible. This is a last-second decision." I don't even think it was the director. I think some like intern was like, make some costumes. The director said he wanted tiny crayfish costumes. Okay.
And then
just make them.
No.
Don't ask questions.
It was the guy who operated Rodan. He wanted little tiny crayfish in costumes, and then when he ate them, he was sucking them up in a vacuum. And then when he was done, he would get them out, and then he would cook them. Free meal.
I mean, yeah. All right.
Yeah, the suit actor just had a very long, circuitous plan to have lunch while he was still in costume.
Yep.
And it just took 72 hours of an intern's life to make it happen.
He was never caught.
Perfect crime. So anyway, we see Rodan going on a rampage throughout the world and the city, and makes a nest back in Japan where he has like his big sort of, like, I guess the typical giant monster movie scene where Rodan's in the city and he's just fucking shit up.
Yeah.
I need these monsters to chill out. Do they not know how much money they cause in damages every single time they just go rampaging?
I remember being as a kid and thinking, like, man, I can't believe they did that to that city. Like, how can they repair it so fast? Oh, man. And now we realize it's modern engineering.
Yeah, they built a stunt city and completely demolished it.
What?
It's kind of like how in Evangelion, whenever the buildings get destroyed, they just like push new buildings up from the ground to replace them.
It's a factory.
It's like that. They got a building factory underground that just pops them out.
I mean, yeah.
And there was one instance that I was reading up on, because there's a point in the movie where these fighter jets are trying to shoot down Rodan, and he's like flying through like this sort of, not coastal, but like riverside town with a bridge, and there's a point where you actually see the Rodan suit sort of flying above the water, and apparently there's a point during the filming of that scene where the wires holding up Nakajima snapped. Ooh. So he fell about 20 feet from the air to the ground, but luckily, like the water and the suit's wing was able to break
Wait,
his fall.
That's good.
Are you telling me that scene where we see him fall in the river, that was that?
No, the scene where what that cause I don't know if they actually filmed that him falling, because I just know during the production while they're trying to film that scene he actually fell, but I don't know if the scene where you see Rodan dive into the water is actually him or a model they just sort of submerged.
Because
but there was a point where there's an accident.
I say that because that scene always like was weird to me, even as a kid, and I thought maybe as an adult I would be like, I'd understand it more. I still don't get it. Rodan literally died. I thought, like, even now, I don't know why, I knew what was going to happen. I expected him to fly, and like as he flew, because he builds so much speed that it breaks the bridge. No, that doesn't happen. He dives under the bridge into the water. The planes are like, we have him now, as they start shooting the water, and they circle around, and then he comes out, and then he does a flyby of the bridge and destroys it. That was really weird. I would believe it if that he just fell in the water right there and they just left it in.
And well, speaking of that won't be the only time like an improvised moment was sort of caught on camera and left in the final product. But to get to that point, we have Rodan who sort of makes landfall and he's destroying the city by blowing all the cities away. And then we get the revelation there's actually two Rodans. Two for the price of one, and that's why it's been seen in so many different locations in such a small amount of time, is that two were able to escape the volcano and now they're sort of rampaging around Japan.
Siblings, I guess. I couldn't tell you what they were. We just got two flying dinosaurs flying around, causing havoc.
It looks like, from what I've been able to tell, most sources claim the two Rodans were mates.
Oh yeah, that's also what I was thinking, and that makes sense.
Were
too.
they from Alabama Rodans?
They could have been two separate nests in that same cave.
Okay, whatever you say.
Hatch at the same time.
Exactly the same. Two different eggs from two different families of Rodans were planted in a volcano at the same time. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. Hey, truth is stranger.
Yeah,
than
weirder
fiction.
shit has happened.
Are we talking about... Okay.
Where have you been?
And so the military to come up with a plan, since the Rodan seemed to have an epicenter inside the volcano, they decide to, while the Rodan are taking shelter in the volcano, they are going to detonate explosives inside the crater and trap the Rodan inside. And of course, you just see like this long extended sequence of like these explosions going off using the exact same explosion noise.
It happened
sort of
at least 100 times.
See,
It's the same explosion sound effect, just constantly.
see, you say that, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was watching it, and I think I might have zoned out for that, and it was so I don't say it's that bad, but I don't know how much I paid attention to that.
Yeah, it's a very hypnotic sequence where you just see like explosions one after the other after the other. It kind of lulls you into like a meditative state.
That's very good, Pat. Wow, you actually nailed it on the head.
And speaking of nailed on the head, they say all the explosions that sort of wakes up the Rodan and they escape, while also triggering a massive volcanic eruption. You see like giant lava flows pouring out of the volcano and probably destroying like all the property in the nearby area. But it seems like due to the volcanic eruption and sort of all these toxic gases, one of the Rodan is sort of overcome by the fumes and sort of crashes back into the lava flow and sort of starts to burn up. And the remaining Rodan attempts to escape, but then seeing its mate, sort of perishing in the flames, it decides to go back and to essentially die with the other one.
It was beauty that killed the beast.
I don't think that applies here.
It was beauty that killed the beast.
It was beauty that killed the beast.
My name is Jack Black.
Who's bald now?
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Is Jack Black in Five Nights at
No,
Freddy's?
it's a TikTok thing where he's like, Five Nights at Freddy's, that's where I want to be. And he says, Five Nights at Freddy's, that's where it ends. It's a fun, hypnotic TikTok that sends me into Nirvana.
All right, well, now let's get back to the issue at hand. These fuckers died so easily. Literally, you just like boop, and then another one goes.
Yeah, just like that. well, it's because like the military couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, because I feel like a lot of the destruction that happened when Rodan was in the city was more so them just firing wildly, just spraying and praying.
I'm learning that that's every Godzilla movie or every monster verse movie.
That the military is completely ineffective.
Yeah, they just fire off huge missiles. You don't see them making impact. You just see them firing. And
where do they? And that's scary. Like, where are those missiles?
No, they're still flying. They haven't made.
See, and that's terrifying. Just imagine.
They're still flying to this day.
Oh my god.
Well, no, the thing about it, they're finally free now. They don't because like missiles are like bees. Once they use their payload, they die. So if they don't make contact, they just keep going and they're just free to live a life.
It was Beauty that killed the beast.
Exactly. And the thing is, too, like, what if the angle that the missile was shot, that it went, like, further into the Earth's stratosphere so that it got caught by gravity, so it's just spinning around the Earth? Like,
that sounds dangerous.
Like, it's like a satellite, But, like, if you touch it, you'll die.
Yeah, so don't ever touch. If you're ever in space, be mindful not to touch any of the forever circling missiles out there.
Just remember that.
Watch out, cowboys. Oh, something I was going to say, too. Rodan's music was very, very familiar or similar to, Godzilla's iconic music as well.
Yeah, there's that famous Godzilla line, or I guess suite that's in the film, because it has the same composer, Akira Ifukube, and I would be willing to say it's, if not the same track, it's almost like 99% similar.
Yeah, it's still good though. Still good.
No, it's a great piece of music, and oh yes, the other improvised moment, because in the moment where the second Rodan is sort of dips into the fire and then comes back out, that was actually an improvised moment, because the puppeteer that was operating that second Rodan, it got too close to the fire and actually caught on fire. But as he's sort of as the puppeteer is desperately trying to get the second Rodan puppet out of the fire, the special effects director AYCH Subaraya liked the moment so much he kept it in, because it sort of added like this extra like emotion to the moment of what the Rodan's struggling in pain, and then sort of eventually relents and sort of decides to perish with its mate.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
that's fucking good.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean, I felt that way. Like, even though I was like saying like they died like weaklings. It definitely was something, especially with the actor or the characters looking away, because the pretty big scientific huge discovery of two fucking dinosaurs still alive, dying because they're just so destructive. Yeah, I could understand that. That'd be funny though, but not funny. Amusing if the puppeteer who was on fire, you just see him like get in the shot trying to get the fire out, and they left that in there as well to add him to add him.
Like you just see like a normal sized man trying to he's just furiously stepping on the puppet to put out the fire.
just to add to the emotion of the scene. Give me a film.
But yeah, where we just keep all the behind the scenes snafus in the film. It's just one long continuous shot with no editing.
Oh, it's like 1917.
Yeah, but better.
Oh yes, and we'll call it 2020, and it's just us in our houses, and the camera is recording the whole drive back and forth. No stops, because it's a single shot, okay? And you'll just catch us sitting in our room watching TV.
It would also be kind of a good 20, for another segment of that. It's just, there's a camera in front of us, and there's a light, like we're watching TV or something, and it's just staring at us. But, we look so, we look dead, like we're zombies, and we're just staring. And that goes on for, an hour, at least.
Man, this movie sounds terrible. I don't think we should give you the rights.
Bitch, we will make $1 million at Sundance.
You know what? You're probably right. We'll go to Tribeca, baby. We'll get all the awards.
Sundance, Tribeca, Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF, yeah.
And we're all going to get naked and go outside in the snow and die. We're going to do that too.
That's a reference for those of you out there.
So, but sort of wrapping up with Rodan, this won't be the last time we'll see Rodan. Rodan will appear again in about 8 years' time in 1964's Hedorah the Three-Headed Monster, where he teams up with Mothra and Godzilla. And the Mega New Line, they'll show up much later in the 2000's Godzilla versus Megaguirus.
Oh, damn. I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it was a crazy callback with that movie. I'm very excited for when we get around to watching it.
Because I'm definitely we'll get there in time to just to see the sort of the Millennium series and the Heisei films. Just sort of like to see like the old monsters come back in new forms and there's I know I've seen Megaguirus, but it's been years. I'm interested to see how they sort of re-implement those characters so many years after the fact.
Yeah, the claws, you know, the claw that like seeing the claws, I was like the claws stand out, claws, because they have those the Megaguirus have the same claws whenever they turn to their fucking dragonflies later, not the actual dragonfly but the monster.
So last thoughts on Rodan?
Rodan's it's a fun movie. It's like Wenzel said at the start, it's kinda like bare minimum when it comes to monster movies. It's a good movie. It's not my favorite, but like 3 out of 5 stars is perfect for it.
Yeah, same. I same score.
Okay. Yes, I think I've given it a 3 as well. I really did like. I feel like the first part was actually probably my favorite. Just seeing that sort of uncommon setting in like a mining town and probably just see Rodan's rampage in the city, and I really did appreciate that. But I think 3 stars is a very appropriate rating for that film.
Yep.
All right, moving ahead, we have our next film, and that's 1961's Mothra, which is directed also by Ishiro Honda, with special directs returning with Eiji Tsuburaya, and score also by Akira Ifukube. And this is based off, to my surprise, once I did the research, it's based off a serialized novel called The Luminous Fairies in Mothra, which is like the first appearance of Mothra in any sort of media. It was sort of these like, it's from a magazine where they release a chapter essentially a month or a week, and then they all compile that within the year.
When was this
and that's what
magazine released?
The serialized novel, it was the same
Oh,
year.
okay.
They released it prior to the film.
All right. I was curious because if it was like older than Godzilla, then that'd be neat. But no.
So it's not. Mothra doesn't predate Godzilla, but starting with this film, she really became one of the biggest characters, not in the Godzilla franchise, not only in the Godzilla franchise, but just in sort of giant like monster cinema. Because Mothra is easily one of the most iconic and like most beloved of all the kaiju, I would think.
Yeah, I'd say I know bare minimum, but out of all the kaiju, Mothra has always been the kind one that only wants to do good things for people.
Well, I think her kindness, empathy may come in later installments, because with Mothra's first appearance, she seems definitely much more violent and reckless than any of her future appearances.
But her destruction is understandable compared to like Rodan, and we'll get to her reasoning in a sec.
Yeah, because this movie starts with this expedition to a uncharted island where they see these tiny women, and it sort of warrants further exploration from a larger scientific community. But the problem is the financier of that expedition is this shady businessman who, once he discovers the tiny women, he wants to make a profit off of them, which sort of incurs the wrath of the island's guardian deity, and that would, of course, be Mothra.
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 Love the music, again, of course.
Yeah, the theme song. It's really like neck to neck with Mothra's theme and Godzilla's theme. They're both really, really good.
Yeah, I remember my dad had it several of the Godzilla songs. That one too on a floppy disk.
Oh hell yeah!
Although, for whatever reason, I'm just imagining your dad putting a floppy disk onto a record player and trying to play it like that.
No, he would. No, he would. We had an old computer. He would throw it in, and we would just sit there and listen to it. And yeah, it's just crazy. We had so many floppy disks, and we use floppy disks forever. And VHS.
That's so weird.
It is weird when I think about it, but I don't know. I think it's cool.
A very inefficient way of playing music, even back then.
It's still interesting though. It's cool. I love floppy disks. I like to slide the little metal thing. That's my favorite part.
And do that thing where you're not supposed to touch the disc in the middle, but you do.
Yeah,
anyway.
and then I get in trouble because it doesn't work anymore.
Wow, I guess you guys suck because I didn't do that. I knew the value of it.
I didn't.
Yeah, you're not a rebel like us.
Yeah, I was a good boy. I took care of my stuff.
Look who's laughing now. But just going to a little behind the scenes a little bit, Mothra was the most elaborate special effects and miniature production of the Tokusatsu to that day, even more so than Rodan and Godzilla, where it had actual entire neighborhoods recreated on a 1/20th scale, in the film. You could actually have these exact locations replicated in the film that people were able to point out specifically.
That's pretty
That's
neat.
pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I noticed that in this movie they just included a lot of tiny replicas when they didn't necessarily need to. There's a scene where there's a warship and they use a tiny model warship, but then they're actually on a warship in the next scene. I know it's probably a set, but it looked like it wasn't a set. It looked like they just rented out a warship.
Yeah, maybe.
And I was going to say another thing that what sets Mothra apart from its other counterparts is that, and top of being one of the most colorful movies in the kaiju landmark to that date, it also has shifting priorities. It changes monster antagonists for human ones. And where it has the kaiju sort of living at the end, that's definitely a big difference from the films up to that point. And an interesting point that they sort of reference throughout the whole film is that the Christian symbolism, because Mothra is just life, death, and rebirth, entity, and then her actual symbol is this glowing cross. So
Mothra is Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's right. Giant insect Jesus.
I love you, Mothra. Pray to you every day. I wish you were there to hug me.
Yeah, it's I never caught that as a kid, and now that was something that I'm looking at now. Honda would do, or his ideal. He's an ideal or idea or value, whatever you want to call it, where understanding and cooperation can be achieved through religion, and that was kind of his way of expressing that through Mothra.
That's something.
Yeah.
That's a belief.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I don't know, that kind of sits weird with me because Mothra is always later, I should say that before I watched the original Mothra, this one, I saw all the movies, all the kaiju movies later where Mothra is kind, very helpful, and so when I saw this, I was just horrified. I was like, oh my god, why is she so mean? But
because they took her babies,
yes,
her little babies.
I know. So aggressive though, so scary, and yeah, but again, another strong female character, of course, and
give Mothra a gun.
But what I was gonna say that when I think about it, it's just weird that later the Godzilla movies and how she's that helping hand. It's kind of, I wonder if it's an underlying or undertone of religion. Come on, join it.
I'm busy.
Or it might be one of those things where it happens in a lot of like properties where they start the character to a certain way, and then like over time they sort of figure out the character in the process of the making future installments. There's plenty of series where a character is markedly different at the very beginning because they're still trying to more so figure the character out. Like Mothra is more actively destructive in this film than compared to the other ones where, like, of course she's going to cause destruction just by the sheer presence of her giant body. But this one, it seems like some of her destructive aspects are more deliberate.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. Just trying to, do a joke, Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I know we had brought it up earlier, but the military, they just fired missile after missile at Mothra's cocoon whenever she was at the Tokyo Tower.
Yeah.
They did not give a fuck. They fired off everything in the artillery. They tried to kill that worm.
Yeah, they were like, fuck this.
Also, I was really surprised after Mothra made her cocoon on Tokyo Tower when they used the heat rays to burn it up. Like, Mothra's cocoon is made of asbestos or something, because that went up super fast.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, it looks like I always look like a kind of like a potato or a peanut. That's what I always associate with it when I see it.
Yeah, it did look like a peanut.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's kind of appropriate because the two actresses, the twin sisters that played the Shobijin, Mothra's fairies, they're known as performing artists as the Peanuts.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Sisters.
Yeah, that's right. I think you mentioned that before. I love the Ito twins. That's their names.
Yeah.
For Colt.
For Cole. And while we're on the subject of the cocoon, apparently in the original version, Mothra was supposed to cocoon herself around the National Diet Building, which is like the political center of Japan. But they changed it in the final version to Tokyo Tower. But they would reuse that idea in 1992's Godzilla vs. Mothra.
Fuck. Man, I'm super excited just to watch the 90s one because of hearing about all these like throwbacks to older movies. It's going to be fun. I bet it's really fun to like for all these movies from your childhood if you watched these when they were first coming out to see them being reused in the 90s versions.
Yeah.
That's something I really do appreciate about Toho when it comes to the Godzilla property is how they really like hold on to the ideas, and even if it's different from how it first was envisioned, like to see it sort of eventually come to light, or like to see the process of the evolution of that idea.
Yeah, it's really I don't know. Toho, every time I see them, they always have like a nice little place in my heart because of that. And man, I always love poster. That's what I'm trying to think of, the posters. Man, sorry, I'm just going back down memory lane. Something I didn't realize too was a lot of symbolism of like when the twins are stolen, it's supposed to be symbolize like American occupation and forced westernization in Japan, and yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Goddamn Americans, capitalist pigs.
Also, whenever they were actually kidnapping the women, you could tell that they just used random dolls in their hands. I thought that was very fun. It reminded me of American Sniper when they had the fake baby.
There was a fake baby in American Sniper.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper had a fake baby.
Yeah.
It was a baby doll.
Yeah.
It was the fakest baby ever put to cinema.
Yeah, I mean that you know, I don't know. I like that. I always like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because like of the bad guys, he's like this evil businessman, Clark Nelson. Like there was supposed to be a bigger presence of like America, like them filming in America, and like because there was like a joint production between the U.S. and Japan, but just for a lot of different behind the scene reasons that kind of fell through. So they sort of replaced America with the fictional country of Ralsika.
Something like that.
So what was intended to be like these genuine American locales, they sort of just attributed to this fictional Western country of Ralsika, and like because like literally one of the places where the climax happens is in a location called New Kirk City.
Yeah, like the final drive bit, it looked like 1960s America, just underdeveloped as hell. It was super cool. But then again, in the scene where the shootout happens, it looks like it's somewhere in Europe. It's weird.
Yes, it's very nebulously defined, but also geographically very close to Japan, Western country.
Yeah, man. I mean, they have an island named Infant Island.
That's for babies.
It's for babies, apparently.
Yeah, because the Shobijin, they're tiny as babies, and then the Mothra was a giant worm baby,
And they fucking nuke the island.
Yeah.
and made all the villagers mad.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was. There's one part I thought was so strange. Is like when the bad guys go to steal the Shobijin after encountering them the first time. Like all the villagers come out and they're like making like this musical noise to scare them off, and then like the bad guys just mow them down with machine guns, and the villagers don't even react to the fact they're just getting blown away.
I think it's more so that they don't recognize the guns and what's happening, but also they gotta get the little women. They gotta save the little women.
I mean, I assumed they were like, they're like, we worship a giant moth. We've seen crazier shit, bruv.
And like also like when the Shobijin are doing their song like on the island, the remaining villagers are doing their ritual, but it looked like they had like some kind of weird blood ritual at the same time. Like they had this big vat of what bright lead liquid that they're like ladling out and dispensing throughout the ceremony.
It looked like paint, but I think it was supposed to be blood.
It's V8.
Oh, okay. So yeah, because V8's paint. That's right.
No, because V8 is very healthy drink. That's how all the villagers stay healthy.
Okay.
Tomato sauce.
That's how they live. That's how they live for everybody by drinking. Or maybe it is actually blood because one of the scientists he got captured by the quote vampire plant.
Oh yeah. I mean, they could harvest the blood from these vampire plants.
I don't know. That's pretty far fetched.
That's what you just said.
I like to. I mean, I like my V8 theory, but go off with your fucking vampire.
Go make a pizza with a V8. Go make some spaghetti with a V8. Okay,
that would be absolutely god fucking awful.
It's just tomato sauce, man.
It's not even tomato sauce. It's like tomato juice, like very very thin tomato juice.
It's for people who don't like chunky bits in their marinara sauce, Wenzel.
That's disgusting. I'm gonna make some water spaghetti. I'm gonna pour some flavored water on some noodles.
That's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
You make me sick.
All right, so wrapping up with Mothra, what are your sort of final impressions with it?
Similar to Rodan. It's very good. I enjoyed it, but due to Mothra not being like the Mothra that I like, which is the kind not destroying the whole city, I prefer the kind one. I gave it like a 3 stars out of 5. Very fun, very cool. I like the nut cocoon.
Yeah, I remember when I originally watched it, and when I watched it again, I was like, yeah, it's the same as I remember it, like bare minimum. kaiju movie. Yeah, it was good, and 3 out of 5. Yeah.
So I did really enjoy Mothra. I really enjoyed the color palette. How it's so much brighter than a lot of the other ones before. I will say I did feel the length a little bit on this one. I feel like they could have probably trimmed about 20, 30 minutes, and they would have been fine.
Okay. I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to sound mean. Definitely felt like it was
even
too
though
long.
it's only like an hour and 20-something minutes.
Yeah, just
Was it not?
Yeah, it's 101 minutes, I believe.
Okay.
that's
It's not the longest movie.
That's an hour and 40.
It's not. But it's not a bad movie by anything. I definitely feel like they could have trimmed up a little bit, just kind of made it feel a little bit faster paced. But otherwise, it's a very fun movie. And my theory of why Mothra is so mean and the rest of the other Mothra is so nice is that this is Grand Mothra. So all of her kids, they sort of like they learn from her ways and they get better with each cycle, each generation.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
And lastly, moving on to our third and final film of the episode, and that's 1971's Godzilla vs. Hedorah. It was directed by Yoshimitsu Banno, special effects by Teruyoshi Nakano, and score by Riichiro Manabe. And this is about the pollution in Japan becoming so abundant that it's starting to affect the world around it. And the toxicity is so much that like a virulent life form starts to form out of the toxic sludge. And speaking of the sludge, that's where Hedorah gets its name, because the Japanese word for sludge is Hedorah, and that's where they sort of base the idea of the monster off of that. So what do we think of Hedorah?
The monster is really cool. Beforehand, I've only seen Wenzel's Hedorah figure that he has, and I thought it looked kind of like it's kind of hard to really understand what the hell I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But after watching the movie and learning that it's kind of like frog-like, I really like it a lot. It's really cool.
Yeah, man. I can totally understand that. The figures. It's from early 2000s, so the the movie accurate figures are like quality is not out there amazing, but like it kind of like gets the shape. But like if anybody were to look at it, they'd be like, oh, what is it? Out of all the kaiju movies, this is my favorite. I love Hedorah. It's just really love them.
Like this movie, not only do I love Hedorah, like this movie feels like it's darker. It like kind of went to like how Godzilla, the original Godzilla, was dark, because it was taking a real world problem with if we don't change our shit, we're all going to die by this giant smog monster. And this movie showed a lot of death. It showed, I feel like, the most death I've seen in a monster movie so far.
Yeah.
Because I will say, because you see the effects of Hedorah like on a very personal level with the civilians, because there's different points where as he takes different forms across the movie, like he's just expelling this like noxious gas, and a lot of people sort of succumb to the fumes or like are literally dissolved by the acidity of his fluids or his gases. And you see like people like waste away into like piles of goo and skeletons. Like there's one point where Godzilla have his first encounter, and like when every blow that Godzilla makes on the Hedorah, like chunks of the goo slide off, and there's one point where this giant portion of it crashes into an apartment, and you see these men playing shogi, and then they are just like literally drowned by the amount of the
yes,
sludge.
Man. Man, when I watched this as a kid, all of that death, I was scared. My dad even was even the same way too. And then I was thinking like, it's probably not gonna be the same when I watch this again. No. It was the same. I was actually creeped out. I was like, that was totally just terrifying. And then something I was gonna say too is that the Hedorah's design, something I forgot, is that even today, every time I look at it still creeps me out. It's so uncanny with those fucking red eyes and the black and just that black body.
Yeah, because there's definitely a moment in earlier in the film where you see like Hedorah's like aquatic form sort of like barreling towards the beach. Like you just see these giant red eye, like deep red eyes, just sort of poking out of the sea, and like I got a legit spook out of that. Like it gave me a bit of a chill. It's really unusual that it gets like a genuine sort of like uncomfortable feeling from like these sort of, and in some way like a very trite or not trite, but like a kind of a campy movie by like modern standards, but like it still has like some genuine effects in terms of what it could able to get across.
Yes, yeah, it's so freaking good. And there was another cool effect too when the people were first getting hit by the gas and when it was spreading. When the guy, his skin started it was, they used like a time lapse effect where like his skin started to burn, decay, or not burn, burn and melt or whatever. And then like they did this also like kind of like photo negative effect that I thought was really cool. Man, yeah, really, really crazy, really dark.
You could tell that this movie came out in '71 with the trippy psychedelic shit that was going on the whole fucking
Hell
movie.
yeah, dude, I love it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it is very indicative of its era, but also like if you're not prepared for just like some of the rather jarring shifts in tone and sort of like presentation, it could be very off-putting, or like because you'll see of them like they're fighting the monster, then it cuts to like this like crazy like club dancing, and it cuts to like this like animated sequence, because there's a few animated sequences throughout the film that kind of just hit you out of nowhere.
I fucking love those animated sequences though.
Yeah, I that was something I completely forgot about, and I love them. It's kind of like they're just kind of there to, I guess, pretty much show like the kind of guide you through some like fun little stages of Hedorah.
Give some little shit for the kids that came to watch this movie in theater to enjoy, instead of just showing them dead bones and bodies everywhere.
Yeah, man, the 70s, the very the imagery of like what would you call that? Like the color, it's like color droplets or whatever spreading or everywhere. Love it, and love the music too, especially the very beginning. I never knew the lyrics of the song, but when I looking at it now, it's like it's deeply sad, because it's literally a song about the Earth dying and trying to get it back.
And because like to me it wasn't a detriment, but I know Godzilla vs. Hedorah is one of the more divisive entries in the Godzilla franchise, because a lot of people, they were sort of put off by sort of the psychedelic nature of the film, like the jarring tone shifts, like how it volleys so quickly between horror and comedy. Like there's one moment where even though all this monster attack is happening, like all the 20-somethings of the town go to have a party on the mountain, and they're just like dancing, having a good time. Then there's just a smash cut to like these haunting old people standing in the reeds watching them. Like apropos of nothing. I was like, what the fuck was that?
I could just assume that's like I don't know, the ghosts of our past are watching us as we're dancing, having a good time on the dying Earth. I don't know.
Also, what was the point? Just to draw Hedorah to the mountains or some shit? Or are they just having a party on a fucking mountain?
I don't know, because they said something about drawing them, like they wanted a million young people to be there, but like I thought maybe it was like a protest or something. But then also like what would be the point? I don't know. What were you gonna say, Pat? Sorry.
I think one of the interpretations of the film is that people have interpreted the film as this is Bono having like an indictment on the youth culture and the powers that be, because a lot of the critics have felt that whether it was successful or not, that Bono was sort of saying how incompetent the powers that be are in terms of like regulating and taking care of this giant global issue like pollution, and he's also showing like how disconnected the youth culture were from like a very pressing issue that's facing them in their futures, or they're more concerned about having a party, despite that there's a looming danger in front of them. Whether or not that was successful, that's sort of dependent on the person, but that's how a lot of people interpreted those moments in the film.
I could see that. That's like that South Park episode where hippies start coming to South Park, and Cartman is trying to kill them all. But like Stan, Kyle, and Kenny all get like kind of indoctrinated because they're like you know, they want to help the world and go against the government, but literally all the hippies that come there are smoking weed and listening to music, and they have a huge festival, but it doesn't raise any money or do anything. It's literally just a music festival that everybody getting high and, you know, listening to music and sex. Like, that's it. You know, I could see that. Yeah.
And another issue that people maybe took I guess umbrage with the film is the change in Godzilla's character from being like this monster that sort of represents the sins of people's actions and inactions, and becoming a more like cartoonish and like outright hero for children. Because like with the little boy in the film, like he very much like Godzilla is his hero. Like you literally see him playing with toys of Godzilla
Yeah.
in the film, and which I thought was fun. I really enjoyed like Godzilla at his progression to a more like less bestial, more sentient like character.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's classic Godzilla at this point, and yeah, the kid was like, Godzilla's Superman.
I picture that Godzilla knew that the little kid loved him, and that he knew he was his biggest fan. He's like, you know what? I gotta save this world because there's little kids like that think I'm cool. So I gotta rip out Hedorah's heart. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, no, he had to rip out his eyes, which was so violent, but I love it. And
yeah, the film was surprisingly violent. Like in sort of the latter confrontation, you see Godzilla like do this cool trick where he knocks over a rock with his tail just to distract Hedorah, and he jams his hand into Hedorah's eye and blinds him. But also he burns the flesh off his hands. He just has like a skeleton hand for the rest of the movie.
Yep. And something else I was gonna say too about all of the kids' kaiju toys. I remember so badly wanting every single one of those. I tried so hard to look those up on the internet. It was crazy.
Man, you know what? I'm 21 years old and I wanted them. I still want those.
I still want them now. Yeah, nothing's changed. But man.
And also, I got a big kick out of seeing not only all these old school kaiju toys, but also seeing
yes,
Ultraman toys.
Yeah.
And like Godzilla even did the Ultraman pose, like when he's fighting Hedorah, when Hedorah's shooting his like eye beams. Godzilla strikes the same pose that Ultraman does when he does his signature attack, the Specium Ray.
Yeah.
But in order to block the beam, but then like that didn't work. But that's a very clear nod to, you know, a fellow giant, figuratively and literally, in the Toku Kaiju genre.
Hell yeah.
God, I love Godzilla so much. Everything about Godzilla is amazing. The way he like gets ready to charge up his fire breath, he just moves like a toddler, and he goes, boy, and he shoots. He does the boy hand movements, and he shoots fire.
That was, oh my god, that was great. And something else too, whenever he was moving, he did like a slide and a shimmy.
Yeah, like he had like this little foot shuffle he was doing, like as he was sort of gauging Hedorah for their battle.
And when he did that, I was like, for a second, I was like, does Godzilla dance in this movie? I don't remember that.
No, Godzilla doesn't dance in this movie, but he sure does fly.
That was
Yeah,
something I completely forgot about. And I remember for years, my dad would tell me, like, Godzilla flies in that movie. And I said, no, he doesn't. And now, I don't know why I don't remember that. But, man, that was crazy shit.
I feel like that'd be one of the big things you remember.
I know.
Fuck.
Because
I guess
to lead up to that, like, they figure out that they can defeat Hedorah by like drying him out, because he's essentially made of this sludge. So they build this trap where they dry out Hedorah with these giant electrical gates, and then there's enough Hedorah left that he's able to break out of his like husk and fly away. So Godzilla like literally fires his atomic breath at the ground like a rocket taking off, and then when he hits the air, he sort of curls up into a ball and holds his tail and flies backwards to gain pace with Hedorah's like flying saucer form.
He's got to get the best aerodynamic form so he can fly faster.
Yeah, and I thought too he was going to use the scales on his back to help hit him like as a weapon, which is pretty much what he did. He knocked him on the ground, and because Hedorah is so weakened, he only has like his like most resembles a frog form. He's on all fours with a tail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but I should say though, whenever he got electrocuted the first time, Godzilla literally rips out his fucking eyeballs and then crushes them. Does he crush them or no? He activates the thing and then they turn to dust. It was brutal, but it was good shit. And then he gets into the second fight with Hedorah at the end.
Fuck. But that
And like, sorry.
I was going to say that second fight was absolutely insane. I think that's the most savage, other than the King of the Monsters savage fight with Godzilla and Ghidorah. I think it's the most savage I've seen Godzilla get fighting another monster.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not gonna let this fucker get up again, because after he drags the remnants of Hedorah back to the electrical gate, turns it on to fry him again. Like, he literally, once he dries out again, he rips open the husk and just like pulls out all the remaining slop that's still there, hits the gate one more time, and just dries up the rest of him. He's just like, this fucker is dead. He's not coming
And
back.
he starts stomping and dancing on his corpse.
It literally, when he starts ripping the shit out, it literally reminds me of Evangelion when Unit 1 starts tearing apart Unit 3.
Yes, exactly.
It was literally like that. It was so fucking brutal. I love it.
And cause to me, like, the kaiju action in this movie was just so fun. How like it would be like kind of like intense and harrowing, but also like really light and funny when like him like eviscerating Hedorah, or like Godzilla kind of taking a licking in this movie. How he gets an eye burned out, he burns off his hand, and like he gets thrown in the grave, and like and Hedorah just like literally
Vomits.
just diarrheas on him.
Diarrhea.
Yeah, he goes into the doo-doo pit.
You're right. He does diarrhea on him. He doesn't spit it. It's literally just oozes out of his his bottom part. Oh God.
Yeah, that's
Godzilla's
the ultimate
just, like,
punishment.
slopping around in a hole.
That's why Godzilla was so pissed.
Yeah, Winslow, just know I've been saving up a diarrhea pit in my backyard, so whenever you can come over in a year or two, you're going in.
Fuck. Well, Cole, why don't you walk with me?
It's a diarrhea pit,
Cole,
bro.
why don't you walk with me right between these electric gates? Okay? Don't worry.
okay.
Don't worry about what they're for. I also liked how too they just kept flashing their lights, and Hedorah was completely mesmerized, and he was just like, "What the fuck are these?"
What is
Yeah, the army tanks just have like their high beams on, and he's just like completely hypnotized and drawn to them, and that's what leads him into the gate.
Yeah, it was great, and that's also too. I just love Hedorah's suit, where like because he's like a sludge monster, he has that that shiny like multicolored quality to his skin, like oil. So cool, and also should. I'll get to that later. Go. Yeah.
Because I did want to, while we were talking about the suit, I did want to mention the Hedorah suit just for a moment, because at this point, the Hedorah suit was the heaviest kaiju suit Toho had made since the original Godzilla film, weighing roughly 330 pounds.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
it looked heavy.
Yeah, it makes total sense too. It's big. It's taller than Godzilla, and it has it's so dense. You can tell.
And the suit actor for Hedorah in the film was Kenpachiro Setsuma, and due to the high weight and limited like visibility and mobility, he would really had to struggle to perform in the film. He had to rely on Haruo Nakajima, who played Godzilla in this film as well, to lead them in the fight, and he would also frequently pass out due to lack of oxygen in the suit.
Jesus Christ.
And he said the hardest part of filming was just waiting for the actual shot to start while he was wearing the suit.
Jesus, damn.
Man.
But that's not the worst of it though. His most harrowing moment while filming was when he was stricken by a sudden bout of appendicitis, And due to the emergency nature of the condition, the doctors had to operate on him while he was still in the suit because it would take too long for them to remove the suit while he was in that condition.
Jesus Christ.
And it gets worse. During this emergency operation, Satsuma realized that painkillers had no effect on him.
No.
Hedorah just tearing this man apart. What the fuck?
Yeah, because like literally this man is trapped in a giant suit with no air. He's overheating, and the doctors are really cutting him open with feeling full pain, full awareness as they're trying to save him life, and he's trapped in this suit. Like they literally had to operate while he was still in suit just to save his life.
Man, Pat, damn.
That's crazy. He was okay to finish the film, right? He was good.
No, yeah, he lived. He survived. It's just like that was his most like traumatic moment on set, because literally all these suit actors, they're like heroes in my book, because how many of them had to, just what we talked about today, Nakajima, he fell 20 feet into the water. Like when he was filming Godzilla, he passed out so often that he can only wear the suit for like 5 minutes at a time, due to lack of air and the noxious fumes. Like, props to all these suit actors who put their bodies literally on the line to make these movies.
Yeah, man. Like, ooh.
They get lighter, right? In the 90s movies, the suits get lighter, right?
Yeah, they have some advancements in suit technology, so that it's not as hazardous on the actors.
Yeah, and they involve a lot more animation and stuff, So.
And or like very like more advanced like puppetry. So for a close up, it's not just a person in a suit.
Yeah, exactly. Man, God damn. Created an awesome monster, though. I'll say that.
Yeah. And we'll just going back to sort of the intimidating design of Hedorah, director Yoshimitsu Banno, he had a heavy hand in sort of designing the monster. And he if it wasn't obvious, it'll be after this statement, because he deliberately designed Hedorah's eyes to look like vaginas, which he called, quote, scary.
Okay, but at the same time, okay, I guess. That to the eyes, I don't really see it still.
I don't see. Yeah, I never saw that, and I don't see that now.
Also, that's okay. Funny. That's funny.
Cody would probably agree.
Yeah, a little freak. No, I shouldn't be. He's my brother.
Yeah, I feel like most people I know in the Toku genre, they kind of picked up on the vagina eyes fairly quickly.
Man.
Yeah.
Dirty minds.
And just some more information about Banno, the director. Even though his message of the dangers of pollution was heavily criticized at the time, and even now, it was very relevant to Japan at the time, because in 1970 Japan, their pollution output was even worse than America. And like it was due to this movie and like several other like contributing factors that would lead to Japan like completely reforming its pollution output and making it one of the most clean burning or clean energy countries in the world today.
Hell yeah, yeah. Yeah, the footage of the polluted ocean and all that dead, fish and wildlife. Like it was, even today, it's very haunting to see that. And I remember there was a good scene in there where the main scientist that we see in there, he looks directly at the camera and says, "We need to do something about this." And that could be just him speaking out, or that could literally him being like talking directly to the audience, which I like to think that's what he was doing. And it's like subtle, but it's also not, and I love it.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like in a lot of ways it's in common with the first Godzilla movie, where Godzilla is the manifestation of the dangers of like nuclear proliferation and the harm that nuclear war has done. The same way Hedorah is sort of the living embodiment of like man's refusal to like clean up their act and like the constant output of pollution, despite all signs saying, hey, this is bad, things are only getting worse.
And and Hedorah wasn't even from our planet, he was from space. He was on a meteor. And
due to the toxic atmosphere and the pollution that let Hedorah sort of reform and sort of because it was like very acclimatized to what its home planet was.
Yeah, because he's not like us, and that was something I remember. Remember a lot. I just watched this. That was something that was cool. Was that we get that huge tadpole, and I don't know what it is, but that tadpole freaks me out every time I see it. I don't know why. Like something about it, like if there was a tadpole that fucking big, I would definitely be losing my mind. They say it perfectly in the movie. It's like something out of Uncanny Valley, and it was cool because it dries out later, and what it's made out of is they give it a name, Hedorah, to name after Hedorah, and it's like it literally looks like charcoal, and they put some in some muddy water, and they become tadpoles again, and they put them together and they combine, and then they do it again. And I thought that was a neat thing, like in terms of like lore about Hedorah, like that was just cool.
So does that mean that Hedorah comes back at a later time because somebody rehydrates him or some shit?
I mean, it left because the movie leaves off with a sequel hook. Will it happen again? And you just see a cut of like of early in the film, but Hedorah emerging from the water, which Yoshimitsu Banno, he tried for years to have another sequel made to this film, and a lot of people, due to rumors, thought that the producer of Toho hated the film and Banno personally so much that he disallowed him from ever making another film. That's not so much true. They did have a lot of disagreements in terms of like directorial style and sort of the direction he went with the film, but he was never that harsh against Banno. But Banno did actively try for years unsuccessfully to make a sequel. Like he had an idea where Godzilla would fight a mutant starfish born from pollution, much like Hedorah, where he would fight in the South African coast. But that idea sort of faded away, and Banno tried until his death in 2018 to have a sequel made. But interestingly enough, that his pitch for trying to have a spinoff about Hedorah, by destroying the rainforest and leading to a battle with like an Earth Guardian called Hedorah, which is this giant monster with large eyes made of algae. His sort of sequel project, spinoff project, him going to the lengths he did, that led to the creation of the legendary studio's MonsterVerse, because him trying to go to America to have the film made led to talks between Toho and America for America to get the film rights to make Godzilla films in the States.
That's awesome. I'm glad that he came, because I know they're not the most popular movies, but I fucking love King of Monsters and the Godzilla movie.
Man.
And King Kong. King Kong fucking ruled too.
Yeah, King Kong was sick. That's just sad though. He never got to do it, man. That would have been awesome if there was a sequel.
Yeah. So it is unfortunate. He did at the end of his life turn to like fan and sort of crowdfunding to maybe get his film off the ground, but ever since his death, there hasn't really been any movement on there. So that idea might have died with him. And as sad as that is to say, like something very positive was born out of that, and that's just sort of this revitalization of Godzilla in the West with the MonsterVerse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Hedorah doesn't pop up ever again. This is the only movies that he's ever in.
No, Hedorah he does return in a much later film.
Okay, is it like the one where they all get together? I think it's like Final Wars or some shit like that.
Yeah, he's in Final Wars.
Okay, all right.
I think that's kind of the heads or tails of my notes for Hedorah. And just sort of wrapping up with this, what are sort of our final thoughts on Godzilla vs. Hedorah?
This is probably, it's up there with Mothra being my favorite. What's this area, Heisei?
This is
Showa. Okay, this is probably, it's up there with Mothra versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Mothra. I can't remember which combination that is. But the last one.
Yeah, the Showa one is Mothra versus Godzilla.
It's up there with being my favorite from this, because this movie was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was scary. It was funny at times. It had pretty much every emotion, and I love just watching the destruction, and just the scene where he flies over the iron girders, emitting his sulfuric acid or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool watching the stuff just melt.
Yeah.
Also horrifying at the same time.
Yeah, that was a good scene. Thank you for bringing that one up. Yeah, hell yeah. I like his where he shoots his little sludge out of boobs. He shoots it out of boobs. I like those.
Yes.
Man, yeah. One of my favorite Godzilla movies, and out of the ones we watched, this is my favorite. I absolutely adore it. Love just how scary and haunting Hedorah is, and the message, yeah, very good.
Even today, still
Oh
timely.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Personally, this was my favorite of the batch that we watch. Even though there are people who criticize the tonal shift, I loved it. I loved how it would swing from like comedy to horror to like placid in just a few moments. I loved all the weird psychedelic stuff they put in it, from the animation to like the scene where it have all the different TV screens with all the people reacting with the monster screens happening at the same time. An underrated moment at the beginning of the film with the little kid has like a fucking Bowie knife, and Hedorah jumps out of the water. He cuts it all the way down the middle, in like a violent Free Willy moment.
I thought that part was really cool. It was very satisfying.
Yeah.
Watching the knife cut.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I forgot about that scene, Pat, with the TV screens. Stylistically, this was like, you can tell this, Honda didn't make this, but like, it like, oh man, God, the more I think about it, the more I love it.
It's probably the most unique, and I would say, like, creatively daring of any of like the Godzilla film. It's so unlike any of the others in terms of like its directing style, its sort of visual, and just like it's singular in its presentation, especially in the show area.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my fucking mouth. I was about to say daring. Hell yeah.
And actually, if I'm correct, this movie had its 40th anniversary back in July.
Oh. An old boy.
So it had its anniversary this year, and I really enjoyed it. I'm very interested to see the next batch of movies we'll watch in the next kaiju film. So please look forward to that. We'll be getting to that in the future.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up today?
I just want to say, start watching some Godzilla. It's so fun. I've always been like interested from like outside looking in. I'm glad I'm finally watching them. It's a blast, and I feel like it's a smart move to start from the old ones up, is what I'm feeling.
That's yeah. I mean, I would say do it that way. Because you're building up, and it's just like it's so like it's always gonna be campy, but it's always just superb fun. Actually, Pat, you were it was actually the 49th anniversary.
Excuse me,
Yeah, July 24th, 1971, when it was released, and yeah, man, I love Godzilla. And then like us doing this like series, like I was very very I had a busy week, and but I was so happy to have watched these movies. I was very excited because, like, even though I could watch them on my own time, I don't know, just the event of like sitting down and watching them was very kind of sentimental for me, I guess. Yeah, watch them.
So very good to hear. I would say you can look forward to a third installment of the Kaiju overview in the not too distant future.
Oh yeah.
So once again, thank you all for listening to us today. You can follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, and any RSS feed catcher out there. Please be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe on all those platforms. It helps us out, keeps the show going, puts us in front of new viewers, And we obviously just personally appreciate you doing that. You can follow us on our socials on Twitter and Instagram at AYCH Podcast, on Letterboxd and Facebook at All You Can Hear, on Twitch at twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear, and our VODs live on YouTube, and that's also at All You Can Hear. And lastly, you can follow me, Patrick, on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at John Lost His Name, and follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art.
My name is Colt. Follow me on Twitter at ColtD00. Follow me on Letterboxd. Still don't know. Colt D0, Colt D88, Colt D99. I'll find out at some point. I don't know. I linked my Twitter to it, and I still don't know if it's my Twitter handle or if it's something else. I don't know. We'll find out.
If people, I think if you search either your Twitter handle or your real name, I think you'll come up no matter what.
Okay, yeah. Well, you know it. You search it.
Yeah, thank you for listening. You can follow me, Wenzel, on Twitter at WenzelWilkie. You can follow my art Instagram at World of Wenzy. Like I was saying, if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, if you search up Wenzel Wilkie, Wenzy Wilkie, or just Wenzy, you'll find me on there. Follow me on my Goodreads, Wenzel Wilkie, probably Wenzy. Sorry. You can in my Twitter or my Instagram bios, I have a link tree that will take you to either of those. So if I'm wrong, you can look there. Thank you.
All right. So we appreciate you stopping by today and listening to us, and we're very excited to get back to our favorite time of the year when we start October next week, because we love spooky season. So be prepared for a whole month full of spooky content, everybody.
Yeah, brother.
Woo.
So once again, take care of yourselves, and we'll be talking to you very soon. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.